Candy and Precious has been inseparable since they were young girls growing up in Soweto, raised by struggling single mothers. They quickly became each other's chosen families, sisters in everything but blood. They share everything: their hopes, their dreams, their struggles, the little money they could scrape together from odd jobs. Tandy always thought the bond would last forever. That all changed when Tandy met Lindo. She was working long hours as a waitress, scraping and saving to put herself through university one day. Lindo was a regular at the restaurant where she worked, always impeccably dressed and leaving extravagant tips. At first, Tani just admired him from afar, but then he started seeking her out, paying her special attention with his warm smile and easygoing charm. When Lindo finally asked Tandy out, she was intimidated but couldn't resist. He wined and dined her at the fanciest place she did ever experience, treating her like royalty. Lindo was kind, successful, and made Tandy feel cherished in a way she'd never known before. She finally found the man she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. The only shadow over Tandy's newfound bliss was Precious. When she introduced her friend to Lindo, at first it was just a slight narrowing of Precious' eyes and a forced smile that didn't reach them. Then it seems like Precious always found an excuse to be around whenever Lindo was, a reason to touch his arm in animated conversation or stand just a bit too close. Sandy tried to brush off the feeling, to chide herself for being paranoid. Precious had always been a physically affectionate person, working her nerves out with big gestures and hugs. It was one of the things Sandy loved about her. She is larger than life. But the late night phone calls between Precious and Lindo became impossible to ignore. Sandy wanted to believe she was imagining it, that her oldest and dearest friend could never betray her like that. Every time the doves started creeping in, she furiously pushed them down. He loved her, and Precious loved her. That was all that mattered. But still, the guilt and suspicions won't go away. The night she found the incriminating text on Lindo's phone, pleading with Precious to leave everything behind and run away with him, Tandy felt her heart shattered into a million jagged pieces. Confronting Lindo, he tried to brush it off with hollow denial and worn out excuses. But she knew the harsh truth. The two people she trusted most in the world had violated her trust in the cruelest way imaginable. Precious showed up at Tandy's apartment after, tears streaming down her face. She tried to explain, to beg for forgiveness, that she did be confused and flattered by Lindo's attention and it has quickly spun out of control. But the wounds were too fresh and painful. How could Tandy ever trust her again after this betrayal? In that moment, she wanted nothing more than to cut Precious out of her life forever. As for Lindo, he was already gone, texts and calls unanswered. A days of agony, Tandy changed her luck, quit her job and spent months cocooned in her apartment. The mere thought of seeing Lindo again made her shake with rage and humiliation. How could she have been so blind, so naive? She vowed to never let any man mistreat and exploit her that way again. It was an unexpected message from an old secondary school friend that finally blew the lights wide open. Sebogo has reconnected with Sandy on Facebook and mentioned in an offhand comment that she did see Lindo out on a date at an upscale Italian place with a woman who certainly was not Tandy or Precious. Tandy was dumbstruck, the pieces slowly falling into places. She pressed Tebogo for more details. Her friend mentioning that the girlfriend in question was a wealthy property development that Lindo has apparently been seriously involved with for several years already. Like a spark, that single detail set fire to the truth. With a headiness and fury, Sandy wails local community that still look out for its own children. She blasted Lindo infidelity waves across social media. It wasn't long before evidence poured in. Other women from all across Soweto and Johannesburg were reaching out and sharing their own stories of being swindled, lied to, used, and discarded by the same smooth-talking Casanova. Lindo has been systematically juggling half of a dozen of serious girlfriends at once, along with countless side twins, lying to all of them, pitting them against each other, draining them of their money and dignity. The predator rampant cheating was pulling apart friendship, families, even marriages, devastating wake wherever he went. Yet, he was always able to get away, leaving a trail of broken hearts and spirit behind him. In that moment, Tandy realized that Precious has just been as much of one of Lindo's victims as she was. Seduced by shameless lies, false vulnerability, as despicable as Friend's transgression was, it was born of the same sickness, the same brokenness that led Tandy so callously exploit human affection for his own twisted gratification. The cataract of disgrace and reckoning finally caught up with Lindo. One by one, the source of furious ex-flings and lovers began posting pictures and receipts of Lindo evidence, recorded phone calls. The abuse became audible. Copies of incriminating texts and emails, bank statements showing the exact and extent of his financial cons. Humiliated Lindo went into hiding. Once of his house was vandalized, and former employer began getting besieged with raid-filled phone calls, with his face over social media and nowhere to hide. Tandy and the others survived every ounce of the long overdue reckoning. It was due to this storm of vindication and via backlash that Precious finally showed up at Tandy's doorstep again. Head bowed in shame, she said she did stay away out of fear and self-loathing, that she couldn't even look at herself in the mirror. Precious broke down completely, pouring out the whole story, the grooming and manipulation, and momentary delusion when she thought Lindo's feelings were real and true. Precious has been in such a broken, vulnerable place after being disowned by her abusive father. Lindo was there offering comfort, understanding, making her feel so sane. It was only after getting swept up the intensity of it all that she realized how wickedly false everything has been. As the self flows and the truth poured out, Tandy was finally able to forgive. She saw the depth of Lindo's expert deceit, how he identified and ruthlessly exploited vulnerabilities of ladies. Perhaps, worst of all, he went after the closest of friends and sisters, intent on inflicting the most grievous wound of all. Precious was many things: impetuous, insecure, mole-headed, but she was still the unbreakable bond that has gotten Tandy through her own darkest days. In that moment, Tandy realized that holding on to hatred at this point was self-destructive, poisoning the very loyalty and love she had most sacred. That kind of toxicity was what had drawn predatory vultures like Lindo into their life in the first place. So as painful as this betrayal was, she had to find the strength to let that life-draining resentment go. Holding on to it would only leave her spiritually and emotionally down. As she pulled her best friend into a long overdue embrace, Tadi committed to reclaiming her life. She would banish Lindo from her life completely. No more checking of thread about his latest disgraceful act. No hate washing his downfall. No subtweet or passive-aggressive jab that was giving him exactly what he wanted, emotionally draining her of her own joy and peace. Removing that toxicity was the final, most important step. Over the following years, Tandy and Precious slowly rebuilt what they had sacrificed for each other.